Welcome to the Big 12 Mafia Holy Rivals Show. I'm your host, Nathan Bomber Brown, and with me is my partner in crime. That would be the Wild Ute. How you doing, Ute? You recovered from Saturday?
No, I have not recovered from Saturday. It was a horrible, horrible game. But I'm happy to be here and talking some therapy, some talk therapy right here, guys.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm in the same boat. In fact, we're in the exact equal boat, which is funny. Anyway, Immaculate. He's one of our key contributors. Moen can't be here tonight. He really makes some hay during Halloween, so he's not going to be here. But how are you doing today, Immaculate?
I'm good. I'm maybe not as good as some people might think I am, considering the news. It's a bit of a bittersweet day, but we've got some interesting news about the ACC, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of news to run through today. Before we get started, let's take care of some business. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Follow all of us on Twitter and turn on your notifications, both on Twitter and on YouTube, so you don't miss a chance when we're doing our shows. This show, we haven't been doing Mondays, but Halloween's tomorrow. So in lieu of people like to do Halloween stuff, we're going tonight. So I appreciate everybody that's here. I know it's off schedule, but that means a lot to us. Also, make sure you leave us a comment or suggestion. Also, give us a thumbs up. Let us know we're doing a good job. And then lastly, if you'd like to become a paying member of the channel, you get some additional benefits with that. Just go to the Big 12 Mafia page, scroll through, and you'll see the join button, and we'll go through that. In the near future, probably when the season's over, we're going to be really doing some analytical stuff on the Holy Rivals page. We're going to do some one-off sort of news reports. We're going to break down kind of how college football, college sports in general work. And that's what we're going to do with that channel. It's going to become a lot more analytical and a lot more data, not just us, dumb guys talking about whatever comes up into our minds.
Looking at some viewership data right now that we're going to put into a model to see where Florida State, Miami, UNC, and others might end up, actually. So we're going to be creating something new, custom here, and we're all going to be kind of putting our heads together to put that together for y'all to know the most information, the best information you can. So, yeah, look for that.
Awesome stuff. You want to say anything about that, Immaculate?
I'm looking forward to it. We have had some talks, and I'm very excited to see Oot get into this again. I mean, that's what brought me in the first place for some of his modeling and graphing. So I'm excited for it.
It's very cool.
It's like the off-season stuff. There's 4 games left in the regular season here.
Right.
It's like, let's just get into it. We're not waiting.
I can't believe it. I can't believe the season's almost over. It's insane the way this year has gone. Anyway, before we do anything else, let me just tell you kind of what we're going to do tonight. Instead of doing our normal review first of the games and kind of the disasters that we all had this weekend picking games and our teams playing well or not well, we're going to do that at the end because there's quite a bit of news that came out today and over the weekend that we want to run through. First of all, I want to tell everybody I'm wearing an Oregon State baseball cap. I'm wearing an Oregon State. This is the coolest little beaver shirt. I want to make sure I get it on there so people can see the whole thing. That is really, really cool logo. I got all this from one of our very, very valuable viewers. His name's Jet, Tipsy Jet. On Twitter. He's been a fantastic guy to interface with. He gives us last 2 weeks. He's given me his picks for the games that we're following through. And this is what I wear. I wear this stuff just to show, tip of the cap, literally, for all the stuff you guys do for us. And Jed, I really appreciate you sending this to me. And as we get farther, probably into the off season, I'll be rotating through this stuff. I'll put up the flags again that have come. I'll rewear some of the shirts that we've had. I've had some Oklahoma State stuff come through, and really show you guys that we care. And I mostly care. So I want to thank you very much for sending this over to me. It's way cool. Brand new shirt, and I really, really appreciate it. He also sent me a Pac-12 baseball, which maybe I'll be able to sell that on eBay as a collectible. What do you guys think?
I mean, pull it off.
Maybe. All right, let's first do some shout outs.
All right.
We'll just run through these. You want to read these while I'm clicking on them?
Absolutely. Glenn Lumen, good morning from the Philippines. What's up, Glenn? Welcome back in. We love to have you in the house. Bill G, good evening from Allen, Texas. So we've got a morning watcher and we've got an evening watcher. So we got casting for Chrome, Corvallis love here. So repping the Beavs a little bit. Love it. Go. Oh gosh, yeah. BR, seriously, big freaking game this week.
Yeah, I tell you what, Oklahoma State's on the come. Watch out.
Man, that's like Oklahoma State's the talk of the town, guys. Really,
really are.
So go Pokes, beat OU. I'm with you there. Certainly.
Let's see, Eugene.
What's up, Eugene? How is the campus there, CC?
Talking about Utah campus? Which campus are you talking about, Eugene? Maybe it's because he's a Ducks fan. Is he?
I think he's talking to casting for Chrome. They were talking earlier. There was a situation on Oregon State campus, I think.
Oh man.
Well, I hope not another. Yeah, I didn't know about that either. Heard about an explosion today. That's kind of nuts. Sooner Lemon's in the house. Hey, Sooner Lemon. I haven't got your towel in the mail. I will. I promise you, I will get it done this week. Just last week got really busy at the end of the week and didn't get it done. So I'll make sure to get that out to you. By the way, anybody who's received some, and I'm talking to Glenn and Bill and Eugene and BR, anybody who I've sent a towel to, you need to take a picture of it and put it on Twitter so everybody can see it. It'd be really cool if you took a picture of yourself with it. And then make sure you send a picture to me because then I can keep them. I care about that stuff. Anyways. Jeff Woodworth from Anchorage is here. Eugene's in Maryland. We are truly a national show here, guys.
No, seriously, I think we've hit like almost every time zone imaginable. Awesome, totally. Guys. I love it.
Yeah, let's see here. We'll scroll down some more. Caden's dad is in the house. It's been a minute. Caden's dad, good to see you. Show number 2 with Immaculate. What were you on earlier? Greg's show?
Greg had a call in earlier just about Iowa. So I called him in just to kind of get thoughts. And then about the ACC situation we talked, and once again about Iowa. So it's been a long day, and I worked in the middle of all of that somehow. So
well, it's good to know you're earning your keep somewhere. Jeff Woodworth says big weekend coming up in the Big 12. Half the conference within a game of the lead, and 6 top teams playing each other this weekend. So, and you got to be looking at this and saying, how exciting is this going to be next year when everybody's mixing it up, right? From top to bottom, there's no week off.
There's no week off. It reminds me of the Pac. It really does, and how the Pac's been for several years. But, guys, looking at just the data here, we talked about like this viewership data crunch and everything that we're going to kind of go through. Oklahoma State's a massive brand. I think we all intuitively know that. But I'm just looking at the historical viewership numbers, and I didn't realize how big Oklahoma State put up numbers like regularly and stuff, So just I'm giving the Poke some love here. Seriously, like they're a massive brand. They might be the Big 12's biggest brand, honestly. Like kind of looking at that, we're going to talk a lot more about that going forward. But really, Oklahoma State, in this Bedlam game, I don't know. I've just been so juiced for it. I love rivalry games. I know it's the last one before the season. We were talking about this bomber. I picked Oklahoma State to win it.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. But man, there's going to be so much venom and juice. I love it. Freaking love college football.
I know, isn't it? The off season is going to suck again. It's going to be so slow, and we're going back to counting minutes. So that's why this show is so important. Our shows are so important because we can really dive into the data that we see every day and really get into more nitty gritty. Don't you guys think so?
Oh, absolutely. And talk about big games this weekend. K-State, Texas. Come on, the Cats have to clip the freaking Longhorns so bad.
Well, and doesn't Kansas play? Kansas plays somebody big too, don't they?
Yeah, Kaufman. Who's KU playing this weekend?
Yeah, Kaufman's in the house. He says hi, Hull. Good to see you, Kaufman. I can't remember who they play. I thought they had a. Yeah, look it up really quick if you wouldn't mind. Mr. Monkey says rock chalk, baby. Kansas had a fantastic weekend. They screwed up my ballot. I wanted Oklahoma to win out, so that's really, really cool. They had a fantastic weekend, and we're glad to have them here. See, OPD Don's in the house.
What's up, Opie? Hey, so KU fans, I owe every single one of you an apology. I totally ripped you guys to a shred on Friday. Seriously, I couldn't have been more wrong. I'm never going to do that again to the Jayhawks. Seriously.
I did that once, and I'm not doing it again. I learned my lesson a couple weeks
I'm
ago.
repenting here. This Ute fan is repenting.
Right.
I'm seriously going to give you the kudos you deserve. I love Jason Bean. Seriously, he's got like the best name in college football. So I'm going to be rooting for you guys all the way out. So good job, great win and stuff. I love seeing you beat the Sooners. So
Chat's even saying it. It's they play Iowa State.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
that's
that's who it was. Yeah, that is a big game now.
That's a big one.
Let's just jump back to Oklahoma really quick. Oklahoma State. If they don't lose that game to Wyoming, what are we talking about here for Oklahoma? They win out. Yeah, Washington's on a precipice. Oregon's on the come, but they still have to get through the championship game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, Oklahoma State with only one loss. I mean, yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes.
Well, they have one loss in the conference, but they got two losses total.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They lost to Wyoming, and then they lost.
They lost to South Alabama. Was it South Alabama? They had some like
they were not looking good early.
Really,
I mean, Oklahoma State could actually maybe take the Big 12 out.
Oh, sure they could. Yeah, they absolutely could.
And this would not be the first time.
Yeah. So what happens if, like, when K-State beats Texas and Oklahoma State beats Oklahoma? Like, all of a sudden, does K-State have the breaker there? Yeah, K-State's going to have the breaker, and Oklahoma
Everyone's going to wish this was next year when there's 12 teams.
Oh my
we would have to. Next year it's 16 teams.
12.
No, it's 16.
In the CFP?
No. I'm talking about the league.
Oh yeah. I'm saying.
12. Okay.
I'm saying if the way this goes down this year happens, everyone's going to be wishing it was next year. Because,
I get what you're saying.
Because it's going to knock someone out of.
I thought you were saying something else. That's my bad.
No, I'm sorry. I was just...
Daniel Gygax's in the house. He says replay Tuesday on a Monday. Yeah, sorry. Everybody wanted to do Halloween tomorrow, Daniel. Sorry about that.
Trick-or-treating, Daniel. Hey, West Virginia, big win. Kudos to you. And thanks for jumping on last Friday. We loved having you on.
And I'm going to be doing a show with Coos this week. I think we're going to do it tomorrow night. Going to record it. So that'll be really cool. BYU. And it's a night game. So look at that. BYU in it's going to be fantastic. I cannot wait. Randy Taylor is in the house. Good to see you, Randy. Tony Lawson. Mike Smith. Bad day in the state of Utah. Isn't that true? Mike Smith says, cool Beaver shirt. Yes, sirree. I got this from Jet. My buddy Jet, thanks for sending that to me. By the way, if you're watching and your show doesn't or your school doesn't have something behind me and I can't rep it, then you're not going to get the kudos that Oklahoma State and Kansas State and Kansas and Oregon State have all gotten because they've sent me stuff. I'm a little biased. I'm just letting everybody know. See if there's anybody else called. We got a full house, guys. Let's just jump in, shall we?
Yeah.
All right.
We're never going to catch up.
I will never catch up. Last one is peek around the corner with Greg Flugar. Says that person told AP on Thursday the NCAA has not shared any evidence from the scouting case with Michigan officials or school attorneys. So that's interesting that wasn't an official query and then that was then given to them. So how'd they get it if it wasn't from an official query?
No idea.
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't even want to guess on that one.
Yeah. Anyways, all right, let's jump in. So the first thing we wanted to start with is, and I'm not sharing my screen. My bad. Let me get this up here. All right, and this is all we're doing is just dipping our head in and just quickly reviewing things that we're going to be talking about this show. Greg, if you have more detail on your comment there, if you share it, I definitely will. I'll definitely will read it. I'm also going to send you a link if you want to join the show, because it sounds to me like you have some information you might want to share. So I'm just going to send you that link. All right. So just before the show was scheduled, this article came out on 247 Sports. It's, I believe, the cougfan.com site, which is Washington State. And the title of the article is 10 Questions with John Canzano about future of Wazoo and OSU. So this article could take a whole show. I talked about it with Immaculate. We went through it in detail. I think what we'll do is I'm going to take the link to the show. I'm going to take the link to the article. I'm going to send it out to everybody in the comment section. I want everybody to read up on that, and we will talk about this on Wednesday, okay? I know probably I have some Washington State and Oregon State people that want to get into it deep, but we just have too much other stuff that has to be done. We have to talk about Michigan, Iowa, and the ACC. So we want to give this the attention it deserves. So we're going to do this on Wednesday. And I don't know if you're – go ahead, Immaculate.
I say I have read this and I've looked at it, and it's deep enough that this is going to take a bit of a lot of focus. I don't know if we have enough time for that today.
Yeah, I totally agree. So anyway, I wanted to bring it up there. I shared the link. Feel free to go to that and get educated, read up on that thing. We can talk about it on Twitter, and then we will do the show. Maybe not the whole show, but a majority of the show will be on this article and what we found out from John Canzano. By the way, John Canzano is going to be on this show. I'm just trying to get into his schedule. He's a busy guy. So as soon as he gives me some time, we're going to have John on the show, and definitely we will be talking about some of the answers he gave in this article. Did you want to bring anything else up about it before we move on to the next thing?
I mean, like even the highlight of that, the 50 to 150 million, really like in the finances here, like looking at the money, really what's at stake based on estimates and everything. So talks about the importance, especially when you're considering if Oregon State and Wazoo end up in the Mountain West. I mean, the media payout is going to be what, 6 to 8 million a year. Like you're talking like a massive windfall that's worth a decade of money. So this is why the fight's going on, guys. It's really about the finances at this point.
And these two programs are fighting for relevance. They need to. They want to stay P5 if possible. They possibly want to resurrect the Pac-12 brand. If the ACC or the Big 12 doesn't pick them up, I still have hope that the Big 12 will pick them up eventually. Once the settlement happens, all bets are off. Anything could happen. Anyway, so we'll get to that. If you want to talk about it more, you can message us on Twitter. We will definitely talk about it and make that all socialized. We just can't do the show on it tonight. It came out a little bit late, frankly, for us to do that.
Yeah, I've got to hear about this. Let's open up this Iowa conversation.
Yeah, I was just going to do that. So, Immaculate, I'm going to let you do this since this is your neck of the woods.
All right, there's a lot to this, and this has been going on for a while. This Brian Ferentz, for those who don't know, I'm pretty sure everyone does. He is the head coach's son. He's also the offensive coordinator. He was the team's offensive line coach. And when he was that, he was so good at that he was winning national awards. They were ranked like the number one line in all of college football in 2016. They were called O-Line U. That's how he was able to get brought up. And this has been hanging here. Their offense, since he took over, has sagged every year, gotten worse and worse. And so today, all the rumors finally came around. The AD, Beth Gates, however you says her name, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, came out and finally said that he will be, this will be it for him at the end of the season. He will be relieved. And word is this went against Kirk Ferentz's wishes.
So how did this happen? You read this article, and there were subsequent articles today. If he didn't fire him, and he's the head coach, who's basically said he's not coming around.
When they hired Brian for this position, they made it so that he had to answer to the AD just because of nepotism issues. We're seeing this in Michigan. Well, this has been happening here for a bit now. So it wasn't up to Kirk to do this. In the contract, he was actually directly answering to the AD. So this was the AD's call. And so he is going to be gone. And personally, my position is that I do believe Kirk will probably retire as well.
So Immaculate, isn't this driven by performance, though? Isn't that the claim? And like, what was the point total the average point total per game that Iowa needed to hit for him to keep his job?
Well,
Brian, for instance.
This is where it's a little questionable. I don't know if the contract actually stated that he would be fired on that. You can basically be fired for cause on performance at any time. What it was is they cut his pay by a certain amount. It was either per game or for the whole year. And that if he wanted to get it back and to have a boosted contract in the future, he had to hit an average of 25 points per game. Mm-hmm. And again, he's come nowhere near that. It's been worse. Like the expectation was, okay, he'd get his shit together, it'd be better. And it's just been worse. And to some degree, it's not all his fault, but these numbers, like when you're getting almost 0 yards and a half, I don't care who you have.
That's unreal.
He's lost the offense, and I could see it in Minnesota. I could see how their offensive line didn't care. I could see receivers were not running their routes. And that's when guys can get hurt. So it was starting to definitely become a student athlete health situation when you're out there playing this game, you got to play it. Otherwise you guys are going to get hurt. So, and they had a lot of injuries, if you hadn't noticed. So it starts to wonder, if everyone's not pulling their weight.
Looking at the game scores, Iowa game 1, 24 points, game 2, 20 points, game 3, 41, 0, 26, 20, 15, 12. So he was behind the 8 ball. Like, to get to a 25-point average, there was really no foreseeable way.
Most of those points weren't even offensively scored.
The defense, isn't the defense like top 10 in scoring defense, something like that? I know it's extremely high in scoring defense.
Could be. I don't know that offhand. I don't want to say, but I could definitely believe it if it's true.
Yeah, as I recall, their defense is definitely a cut above, and it's unfortunately good. I mean, because Iowa in the past under who was the old coach that was there forever?
Hayden
Fry. Yeah, he was a scoring. I mean, they were known for big time scoring, and so for this to happen, and I have it be nepotism and all that other stuff, it's just a mess. He had to do this though to save his own job, didn't he?
Who, Kirk?
Yeah.
I don't think he cares. He's like 68 years old or something. I don't think he would have did this to save his job. I think this went against his wishes. And that's why I think kind of pride-wise, I mean, can you come back next year from this? They removed my offensive coordinator against my wishes, and it also happens to be my son. 68, we've got these new teams coming in. We've lost the West Division. The entire way that we've played and set this up to do it is all gone now.
Right.
If he comes back, I'm sitting here going, someone just let this guy know to do not kill your legacy. You still have a legacy. You still do a statue. You've got a long, very solid.
He gets a statue?
Here. Yeah.
Hayden Fry doesn't have a statue, does he?
He better.
I think there is.
Okay, yeah. Because I don't think he's as good as Hayden Fry was.
Well, then if they're, I thought there was one there, but I'm just saying, like, he is of that quality and ilk. If they're they wanted to, they could. If they're not going to do statues, then they don't do statues. But to me, when you look at how long he's been there,
right,
how good he's done, and remember, people say Iowa, but what the hell, Iowa? I mean, there's recruiting wise, everything to be able to do this. They build players there. They don't recruit players. They get 3 stars, 2 stars.
Yeah, that's what BYU and Utah do as well.
And they build them there. And they've had to be such tough builders there that, like, their strength and conditioning coaches get in trouble for it, for overworking guys, and have to get fired for it. I mean, it's just a tough place to go. If you're going to go there, they're going to make you into something a whole lot better, but it's going to be tough. And it's just they've been caught playing an old style of football that used to score a lot. I mean, when you have a dominant offensive line, a dominant defense, a good run game, and a run game, focused football style. Back in the days, it used to be more about running, but nowadays they can't keep up, and they've had great defensive backs because they get lots of opportunities to hawk on the ball.
Well, everybody, let's project to next year. Where's Iowa going to be with these 4 new schools coming in from the Pac-12?
I need to see who they get for coaching, man. Like, it's really hard right now. Right now, I'd say that they're bottom half of the conference.
I mean, Oregon's going to be absolutely loaded next year. I know Nix is gone, but these guys are young. They're talented. Washington loses a lot. USC loses a lot. UCLA is going to be good. Iowa's going to struggle, though. It looks like there's going to be a wholesale change here with Kirk probably retiring, fairly soon here. That's just the only thing that makes sense. Does he really want to rebuild this whole thing?
No.
Right. That's a good question.
At 68, you want to rebuild this whole thing for an entirely new style of football? Like, it's just,
I would retire.
I think that's what's going to happen.
And like Opie says in chat, Hayden Fry does have a statue there. I thought he did. And I do 100%, especially if he retires after the end of this year. I think they'll give him a statue. Yeah.
Yeah, they should.
His numbers, how long he's been there. Look, he deserves it. Ferentz is an institution at that school. Most people on the outside are just seeing this now, but he's been there for so long.
Have you guys ever seen Hayden Fry's coaching tree?
Oh, it's
the coaches that
coached
he
for
developed.
like 30 years, so it's got to be pretty significant.
I'm serious about this. I think he was the best developer of coaches in the history of the game.
Lavelle Edwards, I would put up against him.
No.
Yeah.
Lavelle Edwards.
Yeah. Okay, think about it. Andy Reid. And let's go through him. Andy Reid. He helped Bill Walsh. He helped. He had. Oh God, you're putting me on the spot. But his. What do you mean? You got your coach.
You got Bill Snyder. You got the Stoops. You've got Mangino. Like
your coach. Your coach came from BYU.
Yeah, Whittingham did.
Okay. What?
Whittingham. Yeah, he came from BYU.
Okay, well, that's no small get. I can find it. I'll look it up and find the coaching tree.
That's a conversation for another day.
I bet it's as good as Hayden Fry's. We'll have to look at that. I think that would be an exercise to go through. All right. Anything else you want to bring up about this particular article? Immaculate.
About the article, no. In terms of Brian Ferentz, we've had some pretty good conversations today in other places. I'm actually mildly positive about him in terms of where he could go in the future.
Who?
But Brian Ferentz.
Oh,
he's going to end up at Utah. It's a perfect fit.
I think people are going to be offering him left and right as an offensive line coach.
Right.
But it's going to have to be a big hire in order for him to be willing to go down.
Yeah, otherwise, I don't know.
But I like Alabama or Colorado or Utah or some big school that's pretty well known.
If he's willing to humble himself, he can go anywhere. But you have to be willing to take that step
I think
back.
he's a humble guy. I don't think he's a bad guy. He's just not an offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Very fair. All right. Well, then let's move on to the ACC. So the ACC today published and let me get this screen up so everybody can see what we're talking about. They published their 2024 schedule. So this is going to take a minute to get through. Basically, if you can see the screen, they went through and every team are these. So explain these to us, Immaculate.
Well, if you guys might remember, the Big Ten recently came out with their 2024 through 2028 version of this. This is just the 2024 year, but as you can see on the left side there, the ACC has come up with their matchups for 2024 through 2030. Mm-hmm. And what this is showing is every school there lined up on the left underneath where it says team, and then going right from there. First, it shows their home games and then their away games because the ACC only does an 8-game schedule. So it's 4 and 4. So that shows who they're going to play as home games and away games during that year. Now, they haven't actually worked out the schedules as to, who plays the first week, who plays the 5th week, what times and all of that. But it's just who is going to play each other at some point in time during the year and where. So that's what this one is right here.
Look how rough this is for Cal Berkeley, right? Like in 2024. So you're talking about a Northern California team traveling to Tallahassee, Florida for one game, coming back home, then traveling to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for another game, coming back home to Dallas, Texas, and to North Carolina. That's brutal, right? Like those are just the normal away games that you're going to see from Cal Berkeley and Stanford.
Right.
And this is a mess, guys. Like for those programs, like I think it's hilarious that this is through 2030. Like they really have the gall to throw Florida State on the schedules till 2030.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like, what do they think? Like,
look at Boston College has to go away and play in Dallas, Texas. That's just. I saw that one. I just laughed right at the bat, right at the top. I'm like, what?
So the ACC,
Boston College in Dallas playing at SMU.
Let's catch everybody up. The reason the ACC did add those 3 schools, and we're talking about Stanford, Cal, and SMU, was to survive. They were trying to protect themselves in case Florida State, Clemson, and whoever, UNC, left. And in doing so, it helps protect their contract with the ESPN. So they continue to function as a conference. But does this, with nobody in the middle, does this make any practical sense? At least the Big 12 is through 3.5 time zones, and you have a bunch of schools in each time zone, right? The weakest is the East. There's no doubt about it, but there's still teams in the East. So this is, I mean, if I was a fan, like, and Stanford and Cal played well. That's what's ironic. They've actually had good games this season. So having them to have to travel, let's see, Cal goes to Miami. How do you think that's going to go?
Yeah.
Or Stanford traveling to Clemson. I mean, come on.
One's funny.
It's ridiculous.
I mean,
That's funny.
Stanford can't even win a Pac-12 game like real close to home right now. What the freak are they going to do when they go into North Carolina State? Like in the Clemson and Syracuse.
If you think about it, though, Stanford and Cal might actually improve their home game attendance numbers because their home games against a lot of these teams are going to be at SMU.
What? That makes sense too. They're going to be playing in Texas.
I think that's part of the deal. It's definitely the deal for
that was
Olympics.
Well, hold up, Immaculate.
But think about it. Think about it though, because SMU is building they're upgrading their stadium by like a $300 million investment. It's in Dallas, Texas. I bet you get more people to go watch that game there, without SMU even being part of it. Like if say, find me a good game with Cal or Stanford as a home team against
Miami. Right?
So like,
Cal
can you
has
imagine Miami comes to Dallas to play Cal?
But they would lose all the gate.
No, it doesn't work that way. They'll get they'll get part of it, and then SMU will get part of it or something.
Why would they want to share? That makes no sense.
They'll probably make more money doing it that way if they get a full house at SMU.
Immaculate, are you coming up with this, or is there some backing to?
Yeah, what do you?
No, that's what they're doing for Olympic sports.
They're doing it for Olympic. They're not basketball.
And that's not what they're planning to do for football. But I'm saying, if you're the ACC and you look at these home game crowds for Cal and Stanford, I gotta look at this and go, this is not good for TV. I'm not bringing a team there that maybe is in the hunt. I'm not going to put that on TV. It's terrible. It sounds terrible. There's no noise.
I could tell you this, like right now, Stanford for their home games, they're getting about less than 10,000 fans on average, right? Like that's generous,
Louisville,
maybe 5,000.
SMU, Wake Forest, and Virginia.
What's the SMU Stanford game? Like, what's the in-person attendance? Like, we're plus or minus 2,000 fans. Like, that's not
insane.
a joke. Like these,
I'm just being clear with Czech because they're kind of questions. I'm saying this is not what they're stated to do. That's only for basketball and Olympic games. What I'm saying though is Cal and Stanford attendance figures have been so bad, and it's so bad for TV that
I just don't.
Do you think about maybe having those in Dallas, Texas instead, where you're gonna get Texas, football fans showing up to watch a game?
What's funny is let's look at the three biggies: North Carolina, Florida State, and Clemson. Let's see. It looks like North Carolina doesn't travel back west.
They don't.
North Carolina doesn't have a travel. And let's see. Florida State does travel to Cal.
Nope, that's a home game.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
You're
they
good.
don't travel. They don't travel back
They'll
west.
go to the west, yeah.
And Clemson doesn't travel west. So
don't.
Who thinks that's an accident?
I mean,
that's nice.
Right?
Good point.
Conspiracy theories rule. Right?
No, that's legitimate right there. That's strategic.
Yeah.
It has to be.
No, they
That's
didn't
just fun.
fall
All
into
three
that. That's
schools.
for sure.
We got a $5 super chat from Cleveland Rocks. Thank you so much, Cleveland Rocks, who, by the way, is also a paid member. So he's paying a subscription fee and putting in a super chat. I appreciate it.
Cleveland Rocks is schooling me on this one.
1994 Browns coaching staff: Kurt Ferentz, Nick Saban, Jim Schwartz, Bill Belichick. Incredible group of coaches. Iowa trivia for Immaculate. There you go.
So isn't that the Belichick team that had a losing record?
Yes, and
Cleveland
he turned
Rocks?
around and left. Yeah.
Man,
turned down the Jets and went to New England.
that's a good staff though.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Anyways, so conspiracy theories, do whatever you want, but North Carolina Florida State and Clemson do not travel to California. That's there's something hanky there. There's absolutely something hanky there. All right. Anything else you guys want to bring up about this scheduling thing?
Yeah, visually, I'm just looking at this and I see the Clemson paw and I see the Florida State Seminole logo. See the Miami U right here. Keep this up.
I am just getting the link.
Just visualize with me, okay, everybody out there, that just subtract those schools off this list. And say that it's like a spreadsheet, like we're just deleting like a horizontal row. So you're deleting Miami out of here. You're deleting Florida State and Clemson. Look at the remaining teams and the matchups that you get.
Yikes.
That's the reason the ACC is not going to survive.
Yeah. And
I know this says 2024 to 2030. A lot of these schools are going to be Big 12 schools here. So seriously, there's not enough brand power there to make this conference survives after the jet happens. And so this thing is short-lived. And I think that just taking that visual and looking at that, a Georgia Tech, a Duke, a Cal, and a BC. No, that's just, it's not strong enough to survive without the big brands here. The big brands on the way out as well. No. So
I agree 100%. I wouldn't disagree with any of that. I think that the reason the schedule looks the way it is because those three schools they're counting are going to be gone. I don't think they're going to be in them. Now, let's just commit. Let's see here. Clemson plays Georgia Tech, but no North Carolina. Sorry, Florida State, but no North Carolina. Florida State plays Clemson, but no Clemson, but not North Carolina.
They play North Carolina, but not North Carolina State.
Oh, sorry, North Carolina. My bad. You're right. North Carolina, they play Florida State, but don't play Clemson. Miami has to go to
Cal.
And I'll keep in mind, this is a 1 year thing. This does change up a little bit in the 2025 one. This is just to kind of show, because will this all be here 25? We don't know. I do think that these schools will be there for 24. So this one to me matters. 25 schedule and forward, not quite so sure. And you do have something else to show as well. I think that definitely tells the story a whole lot more than this. This looks cool. I mean, they did a good job of making this so you can look at this, and it's still a lot of storylines in this. But when you get to the point when you have all the rivals and to see who actually picked who as their rivals,
right,
that's a very interesting story. And
now there was another. This tweet was associated with that schedule, right? Immaculate.
Yeah, this was from what's her face at The Athletic. Apologies,
Nicole Auerbach.
Yes, that's the one. Sorry about that. That's from her, and this was put out somewhere else, but she had this put out very easy for people to see, so I want to give credit for that. But what this does is this, it talks about how their schedule model is working and all that, but it goes to show who the schools picked, because it took residual. Like this school and these two schools agree, we want to be rivals and have it protected.
Right.
So when you go through this list, you're going to see who cares about who, because they don't all have the same number.
Yeah, like North Carolina takes Virginia, Duke, there's a shocker, and North Carolina State. Does that surprise anybody? No, that doesn't surprise anybody. Let's see who Florida State took. Florida State took
Clemson, Miami.
Florida State, Miami, Virginia Tech.
Miami is with Virginia Tech. That's not
with Virginia Tech. That's right.
Yeah.
Stanford and SMU.
SMU and Cal.
That big Stanford SMU rivalry.
That storied rivalry. That trifecta.
Universities going forward.
That's right. Yeah, I agree with every time I see this, and then I do the visual because I'm a visual person. I look at this. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to point out something on there for you guys. Someone in chat pointed out, I wanted to say this before it comes back up again. I want to challenge you guys to find Louisville and Georgia Tech on that list.
Well, if they're not on it, they're not on it.
Right. So, I was just waiting for you guys to get to that.
Man.
Yeah. Does that matter? It's a tweet, right? It doesn't really.
No, but this is real. They don't have any agreed upon rivalries in the conference. So it would take two, right? Like people didn't realize North Carolina and Virginia are this close, but they both said that they wanted to be rivals with each
You're
other.
right. I understand what you're saying.
So whether or not Georgia Tech picked anyone that they want to be rivals with, no one else picked them back, or someone else wanted them and Georgia Tech didn't want them back. Same goes with Louisville. And that to me is the big shocker. Why wouldn't Pitt want them? Why wouldn't, I don't know, Boston College or Syracuse be interested in them? But especially Pitt. And when you look at Virginia and Virginia Tech, they are not rivaled up with any schools to their north. It's like Boston College, Syracuse, and Pitt are their own little thing. And then you have the southern schools that are their thing. And the western schools with SMU.
I don't know what to make of that. I mean, these are the ones they set up to do their own scheduling. So,
but it kind of tells you that maybe Louisville isn't feeling all that connected to the ACC.
Well, they were a late ad too.
Yeah, they were added after
they actually wanted to be part of the Big 12, and they didn't get picked for that.
That's right.
Are they a fit though? Right, that's kind of what you're saying. Like, I mean,
this clearly shows they're not for that.
Yeah. Coming back to this, the point I was trying to make is that visually, when you look at this, the thing that does jump out at you, and it's just nuts and bolts, guys. We're not biased or anything. It's just you take out Florida State, North Carolina, and Clemson in this conference. Really, it's a basketball conference.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of football. Virginia Tech, you can make an argument. Pitt, at times, you can make an argument. Louisville's ranked this year, right? But on the general, that would be Miami. I don't think stays on this conference on this list. I think Miami leaves when the others do too. But I just think it makes a big difference. I mean, how you perceive yourself is really what you tell the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's what stood out to me on that.
I don't know. To me, it was just very interesting to see how kind of divided and apportioned this conference really is when you get to that internally. I mean, you got the threesome to the north, you've got Louisville that's no anyone, you've got the southern schools that are all pretty mixed up together except for Georgia Tech, and then you've got Stanford, Cal, and SMU that while they got voted in, clearly no one wants
Georgia Tech
to do with them on a yearly basis.
Yeah, I'm surprised Louisville's not on here, but Georgia Tech does not surprise me.
I would have thought that, I don't know, Clemson or Florida State or maybe Miami, or why wouldn't some schools want to play regularly, with Georgia Tech to get into Atlanta? Like, geez.
I mean, Georgia is Georgia Tech's rival, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Bulldogs, I can't. ACC, not too much.
I'm not sure anybody's connected to them.
Like, if I'm Pitt, I'm looking at this going, we'll go down to Atlanta every other year, no problem. No,
well, they didn't. At least
I know.
not on this list.
It didn't happen.
Yeah, we'll have to come back to this. That's an interesting point. I had no idea that it was going to shake out like this. Was this schedule dropped today? Was that a surprise, or did we know it was coming?
No, I think we knew it was coming.
Did we? Okay.
Yeah. I
wasn't sure about that. So,
guys, I think we should talk about Virginia for a second, okay?
Okay, yeah.
Virginia, to me, let's talk about realignment just for a second. They were assumed to be a shoo-in for either the Big Ten or the SEC.
Who's that?
Virginia, the Cavaliers.
Right. I remember that conversation. We talked about it.
We've talked about that. A lot of other folks have talked about that too, just because it's a massive university. Basketball is excellent. Academics are excellent. But their football historically and now is so dreadful that I'm not really sure they're actually the best candidate for the Big Ten or the SEC. Looking at the viewership numbers, just over
what are do they average
per game? It's well under 500,000 views per game on average. We're talking less than some years, less than 300,000 views per game. And to put it into context, BYU as an independent, even as an independent, you guys were in the 800, almost 900,000 range, right?
Yeah.
And when you're looking at Virginia, it's a third of that, or half of that. And so I just don't know if those are Big Ten SEC caliber numbers.
What's
Like, even
Virginia Tech's numbers? I'm curious.
Virginia
Better.
Tech's numbers are better, but they're not substantially better.
Okay.
It's surprising too. It's not like they're just totally
I-
killing it.
I think it's partially due to being in the ACC, number one. I mean,
I think that's true.
there's just not very many compelling games. Like, everyone's numbers are lower there. Like, when you get Florida State against LSU, the numbers are doubled what they get against anyone else in the
Right.
ACC. It's not. They have so much potential to get numbers, and yet they're not. And
I'm
I don't know.
looking at the
I don't want to cut
2022
you off from
numbers
what you're
here, okay?
saying.
No,
because I could go
2022
in heavy
numbers,
on
okay?
Virginia. But
So Virginia averaged 237,000 views per game in the
Nice.
ACC. Houston was above them, and Marshall was above them.
Yeah.
How is Marshall above them? Like,
I don't-
Appalachian State had more viewers per game in football, guys. Like, I'm serious. Like, it is so bad that you can't avoid this. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a fit at all. Just based, and we're talking viewership. We're talking brand here, because brand, the best thing to dictate a brand, like, Bob Thompson said, you can kind of smell and feel a brand or whatever.
Right.
You just kind of know it has the it factor.
Exactly.
Well, the media companies know that too, and that's why they put them on freaking TV, because that's what people are compelled by. And so I'm saying Virginia football brand is very, very, very below average, like very below average. And football's a driver in this stuff. So what I'm saying is that Virginia is no shoo-in at all, and they might be on the outside looking in this deal.
Moen's idea has always been, what we've talked about since the summer, was that the academics does align, the research does align with the Big Ten, and a lot of the stuff that he was talking about, Virginia kind of felt like it might be going the Big Ten's way. But I think because the economy is still down, it hasn't turned around like people thought it was going to in the spring. And I think viewership numbers are up, but it's not substantially up this year. Bob Thompson put a tweet out a couple weeks ago. It's like, it's with all the realignment attention, he thought that there would be a substantial, like a percentage, like 10, 20% more people would be watching these games. And yet you're looking at the viewership numbers in front of you. Do you see anything on there that screams at you that, wow, all of a sudden they're getting a lot more views? I don't believe that.
Just
doesn't feel that way.
The Colorado bump was real for 2023.
Right, but
they're just out of control, right?
They're a unicorn, though, right? They're a unicorn.
Yeah, you throw Colorado out, and it looks pretty similar, to years past. But the Colorado prime effect was real. It was nuts, but like that's even tapering off quite a bit. But just looking like at the 22 numbers and like historical of Virginia, and that's a curious case. And I thought that they'd show a lot better than that. And they're not the most compelling matchups, but they are in a power conference.
Well, at least today. Who knows what that looks like in 6 years? We don't know, do we?
But these brands like Virginia Tech and Virginia, I kind of thought that they, football wise, they would have showed a little bit more viewership wise.
Yeah.
Because intuitively, I kind of think that Virginia Tech's a big brand because the Michael Vick days, but that was a long time ago now.
It was a long time ago, 20 years ago.
And maybe that brand isn't nearly as strong as we think. And Virginia's brand, of course.
Immaculate, you're sniffing.
Yeah. I got you.
Ready. I'm waiting. I'm like, because I would say 90% of the people would agree with you guys, but I'm not of that 90%. And this is where following this for so long, and I get so frustrated at times because you come up with all the solid logic and everything that Wilder comes up with numbers, it's all right. And it's just like, yeah, it's inarguable, right? Except sometimes in realignment, the human element takes over. And where it takes over in this regard is the fact that both the Big Ten and the SEC want UNC. Mm-hmm. Whatever reason, people want to say, well, show me the numbers, show me that. I don't have to. UNC's public vote of no told me all I needed to know, that they know they have a spot. So I go from there. I don't look at UNC and say, okay, are they worth it or not? They're in. And I think both conferences would take them. Now, if they were to go to the SEC, I think it would have to be UNC with North Carolina State. Probably with Florida State and Clemson too. but they would have to take North Carolina State because the Big Ten's not going to. And they're not getting out of the ACC without North Carolina State getting a spot in one of those two conferences.
Right.
So if the Big Ten truly wants UNC, they have to do something in order to make them make that choice. And that something is University of Virginia. When I say Virginia to the Big Ten, it's not because I'm like, Virginia's got all this value. Their value is UNC saying yes. Now then, at that point, as the Big Ten, you got to look at this and say, how do we improve this value? And so that's when I look at the combination of UNC, Virginia, Maryland. You're bringing back those rivalries. You put that with Rutgers, who's slowly climbing like what's been expected, and a Penn State, and you have yourself a footprint from New York down to North Carolina, which is throughout a very populated area of the Mid-Atlantic, which hasn't had great viewership, but has numbers. And if they can find a way to get those people activated and interested in this because of this, like I said, Virginia and North Carolina, all these schools playing in the ACC, they play a lot of schools that people don't care about.
Right.
But if you can focus their games to those, to where they're playing a lot of Maryland now and Rutgers and Penn State in this locale, and then, games mixed in where you have an Ohio State or a Michigan coming in, or a USC or an Oregon, I think you start to get the people there a little more excited. I could be wrong. But like I said, I don't look at Virginia for Virginia's value. I look at Virginia for North Carolina's value, because without them, I don't think the Big Ten gets them.
So from a business standpoint, if I'm working for a media company, I say, what's in it for me? Like, I say you're UNC and you're trying to compel me to bring Virginia on. What's in it for me? What am I getting out of this deal? I'm shelling here out $75 million per school, $150 million a year for you too, and you've got a backpack that you're going to bring. Like, how does that make financial sense for me? So make me whole. With Virginia.
Okay. One, not every single game gets broadcasted. Schools like this, when you're looking at Maryland, you only get 2 games in which you have to show a school. That's kind of what they're paying for. So if I'd say Virginia and North Carolina, if either one of those teams is having a good year, that game is going to get solid viewership because it matters nationally, and because both of those schools actually care about it and their fans will watch that one.
But is it because of their competition that what they watch, or they watch because of the team? Because if it's the competition, and the conference makes a rivalry.
It's like the oldest rivalry in the South. It's a big
rivalry. You're talking about just one game.
But in their contracts, they only have to show a school like twice a year.
I know, but Yute's point is, how does any of these schools, if we're looking at the data, and we'll break this down in a different show, how do any of these schools outside of Florida State, North Carolina, and Clemson even come close to sniffing $70 million a year?
It's a big explanation, because it's not an easy one. So I'm trying to say, first off, some of it is in the rivalries that they will have, and also in the ones that they won't have anymore. You won't have to sell a Virginia versus Boston College. You won't have to sell a Virginia versus Wake Forest. You won't have to sell a Virginia versus Georgia Tech. And you're going to have a lot bigger teams coming there. Second off, a big part of my calculations on the future is that there's going to be some things coming in the future, such as a conference playoff. So at that point in time, when you're creating divisions for that,
you're guessing. You're not sure about that.
That's not guessing. I don't think so. This is something they've been talking about for a long time. They just need the rules.
Well, it hasn't happened.
I know, but this is why people who are in the know on this stuff would do this, while the rest of us are sitting here going, why the F are they doing this? So that's what I'm trying to point out is,
I know
the future on that in the conferences, especially for the Big Ten and the SEC, is not to have, maybe we get into this the national championship. They're going to want to bring more of it back to themselves, and the conference playoff does that. So I can only tell you, I think it's worth it. A lot of people disagree, and that's cool, but we're all just going to find out together. And I do think the Big Ten does not get North Carolina, and they do not start to move down that border. And remember, it can all be made whole if in the end Notre Dame decides to come and also bring Miami with them, because then you're all the way down the the eastern seaboard doing that. So for me, Virginia, it's merely about getting UNC to say yes.
let this kind of sink in for a second, okay? So
Mhm.
Virginia would be a bottom 3 football viewership brand in the new Big 12.
Okay.
Like we're talking lowest tier in the new Big 12 too, right? Like not just the ACC here. So
Mhm.
you could throw any school and versus Ohio State, that's going to amplify any school. Utah would be a juggernaut versus Michigan and Ohio State. And
Mhm.
so Virginia just seems like a drag here to suck money from a media company. So if I'm a media company, I'm saying, no, UNC, you can come, but you're not bringing Virginia.
Yeah,
Unless,
but to the university as a whole, it's not though because of the other things that they do in the Big Ten.
but I guess from a media company standpoint, media companies are driving the bus on the stuff,
Yeah,
like
we'll have to
realignment.
bring this stuff up to Bob next time we have
Like,
him
I mean,
on.
because you need the finances to get it done, or else it
Yeah.
makes no sense because no one's taking a pay cut, right?
But
And
it,
so,
Well,
But if
well,
you
I
look at
think
what the Big Ten has done for schools coming in like this, like with Rutgers and Maryland, they have deals for these lesser pays, and the Big Ten even helped cover the pay going to Maryland Rutgers initially. So I think that's probably what they do with Virginia because, like you're saying, the numbers don't match up. But if they want this at all with North Carolina, which I do think the numbers there, and North Carolina is in the process right now, as Greg has pointed out, of turning their hockey team from a club hockey team into an actual.
yeah.
And you're not doing that to join the SEC. You're not going to join the SEC who doesn't do hockey and say, "Oh, we're just going to put hockey over in the Big Ten." You think the Big Ten's going to accept that when they want UNC for the whole shebang? To me,
I think
it's
that, yeah, UNC is a no-brainer. Like,
right.
that's
So
a very easy decision.
who's
Like,
going with them is
I would say Miami, Florida.
sorry,
and
wait, I missed that. What did you say?
So who's going with UNC, Miami, Florida? Like you
Uh,
bring a brand new market in there.
if
It's
it's
Big
not
Ten
Notre
AAU.
Dame, if it's
Oh
not
yeah,
Notre
Notre
Dame,
Dame, of course. Like you throw
yeah.
But Miami, Florida,
But what if
they
UNC
would need
says
to
that's
take a
not
pay
cool
cut
with
too,
them?
guys. I think Miami would have to take a pay cut too to get in the Big Ten.
But
Like
what if
they're not a
UNC
creative
says they're
either.
not cool with that?
Well,
What's
then
not cool? What does that mean?
that
Not
means
cool.
they're not
Like
going to go
UNC
with
is
Miami.
going when you have both major conferences pining for you, you have the leverage.
Are they
UNC has
though?
the leverage in this.
Are they though? We thought they were in July. Are they now today?
UNC's a great brand, but they're not Notre Dame. They can't
I
drive two schools. You're talking about $150 million per year, basically. Like if you're thinking they're worth two
the
two
values
schools.
that we talked about at the height of realignment before the Pac-12 finally folded, we were talking about these teams that could become super conferences and other things. We were really heady. Everybody was thinking 4 were here and 2 were there, and we were talking about 2014 conferences and stuff.
Mhm.
I don't think the money's there to support any of that right
No
now. I
way.
think the only school that can drive a move is Notre Dame.
I think
I honestly think every other conference right now, the reason I say that is because
Mhm.
why wouldn't the Big 12 just simply just roll over and say, fine, we'll just take Oregon State and Washington State and just you guys shut up and leave us alone.
because
Right?
the East is their priority.
No, I don't even think it's the East. I think right now they're just trying to absorb 16. I think it's going to be a minute before any of these other schools move. I don't know that anything
I
happens.
would
in the
agree
next
with that
2 years.
100%, except the timeline is to get stuff done for 2026.
And we all know that. We all know that.
So,
I
yeah,
understand.
it's constricting things. Like Petiti even said, Colorado moved the whole timeline thing forward.
But that
They
was for
weren't
this round. That wasn't necessarily for next round.
understandable. But what that's why they even brought in Oregon and Washington. When we look at Oregon and Washington getting the bottom of the barrel money, we think that's because that's all there is left. But what I would say to that is that's all there's left when you consider what their whole plan is. If North Carolina and some other schools and all that are part of that plan, well, you're only getting this amount of money because we're actually saving up money for this as well. So, that is complete supposition and just conjecture and maybe not true, but it also could be true. And it might be why when I look at an Oregon Washington say they're worth more than that. Well,
Okay.
the money has to go around a little bit farther.
Well, this will be a discussion for a long term.
Jared Jones,
But
Jared
Jared
Jones, get on our
Jones,
good side here.
Jared Jones is a stud. That's all I got to say. He says, give us Notre Dame, North Carolina, Utah, BYU, call it a day. This is an Ohio State guy, He can see the value of the disdain our two schools have for each other and how it drives, right? If
How
we want
much
to
is
talk
the
about
Holy
last
War
weekend,
worth?
I think it's many, 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 many millions.
It's basically its own entity.
Which is why we started our channel, which is why we got this thing rolling, because I think it is. I think it is bigger than most people think. Look, let's turn the page. I don't want to talk about this news crap anymore. It's boring. Let's talk about some fun stuff. This weekend was amazing and horrible at the same time. Some games that went one way and some games went another. But the one that I think we need to start with is College Game Day was here on Friday. And they did the what's his name show, and
the Pat McAfee show.
And I warned you because you worked Friday. You came home and I told you what happened Friday during the day, where they weren't talking about Oregon at all. They were only talking about BYU. And what was the first thing you said?
I was worried about the distraction. I mean, Whittingham's coming in on a motorcycle. He's doing he's flexing on.
Yep.
I don't know what's going on. That's so unlike Utah.
It was out of character. The whole thing.
I was squawking amongst the Ute community saying, guys, we look distracted. I'm concerned about this game. And no, game day's here, we got our freaking butts kicked because our heads were not in the game.
That's exactly right.
It was a massive distraction. And so that was one of the ugliest games I've ever seen in live. It reminds me of there was a game back in 2010, TCU, Utah. It was a college game day game as well. And we just got blitzed. And that's exactly what it was like. The best part of the day was going to game day and then the tailgate. But at the game itself, it was just horrible from start to finish.
Right.
It really was. Oregon's a good team.
They are very good.
Bo Nix showed his leadership there, just driving the field, no problem, scoring a touchdown. He was composed. They were focused. They freaking kicked our butts.
Yeah.
I think that Oregon's a good team. I'm not sure they're a great team, and everyone's kissing their tails right now, saying they're a top 2 team, top 3 team. Seriously, people are saying that. I don't think that Oregon is one of the best teams. I want to see them versus Ohio State or a Georgia, but they're a good one. And the Utes were distracted, and we got our freaking tails kicked 35-6. So
yeah,
it was it was
when
a tough day.
When I was watching McAfee. And I told you this on Friday, and all it was FBYU.
Right.
Immediately, my mind went to these guys are not focused on the game. They thought Oregon was going to roll in. You beat them, 4 times in a row or some ridiculous number. Oregon came in and they were focused, and Utah wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
On top of the challenges you have with injuries and everything else, I just thought to look past them like that and to worry about BYU, who they say. And I'm not saying you do this, but a great majority of Ute fans talk about BYU like, oh, we don't talk about BYU. It's a bunch of nonsense. Of course.
BYU and Utah are obsessed with each other. That, Bomber.
I agree. I admit it.
Now that USC's out of the picture, we're not playing those turkeys anymore. All the obsession's going to go on BYU, and it's this weird dynamic. It's just going to get worse and worse. Going into next year, this is going to be stupid. Every week, every day, you're going to hear it on this channel, everywhere else. We'll deal with it all the freaking time. That's just how it is, though, right?
It is very much so. So and
I got to tell you this too.
Yeah,
so I was at the Utah Pig Bus, a really popular tailgate spot, and they were fully aware of Big 12 Mafia guys, Ute fans that don't watch this channel.
No way.
Yeah, I took some heat actually for doing shows with you.
No way, seriously.
We're like, hey, you do shows with Big 12 Mafia?
Okay, that makes my day. Thank you so much. That makes me so excited. I'm glad to hear that. I'm going.
How dare you?
I'm going to the ASU game this Saturday. I'm
just
telling everybody.
That's right.
You are?
You and I, I'm bringing Bomber to the Pig Bus. Yep. So any U fans out there, you can catch us to the Pig Bus. But I'm bringing Bomber over there. We're going to tailgate for a bit before the USC game. Or for
you might need to get some security around him.
I'll be fine. It'll be fine. I appreciate all the Utah people I've interfaced with on Twitter. A lot of them we go back and forth. A lot I've just decided I'm not going to feed the trolls anymore. I used to enjoy that, the back and forth, the trolldom, but I don't have the energy for it anymore. It ate me up over the weekend, so I finally gave up. So that's going to fade away a little bit. I'm not going to engage so much on that level. But, man, Utah fans, I appreciate them for their passion. Always have and always will.
Yeah.
And all BYU fans want is the exact same in return, because that's what BYU does too.
Yeah, it's about to be an obsession. It's been bad before, but it's going to get amplified here in a sec.
All right, let me bring up our schedule, and then we'll go over the games really, really quick. And this is going to be ugly, and I know this is going to be painful, but we just have to get through it, guys. Okay. So, Oklahoma, Kansas, Immaculate. You have the thing in front of you, right? You can say who lost and who won on these games.
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay. Let's start with Oklahoma, Kansas. I took Kansas, right?
You did. You were the one that got it.
All right. And I told that all the Kansas people, I learned my lesson. I'm saying that right now. To all my Jayhawk fans, I learned my lesson. So I don't want to hear from any of the Kansas guys saying, hey,
and basically all questions about Daniels coming back should just cease. Yes. Don't even bring him up anymore.
Bean is a stud.
Stop, because Bean, I've said this, he has been the best backup quarterback in the entire country, and I don't even think it's been close. He's shown so many times. But anyways, I'm happy for him that he got to show off, because he came back to do this.
Jason Watkins is watching. Jason, I want you on the show. I'm going to send you an invite. If you want to come join us, let's talk Oklahoma and your commiseration.
So, Mr. Monkey Kaufman, we've got so many KU fans. Gosh, seriously, I said this before, but I'm eating so mumuch crow. If we had Moan here, we put the Jayhawks squawk. I went on a little tirade rant on Friday about the Jayhawks and taking all that back and stuff, because you guys put some respect on your name. I thought this game was going to be a blowout. I was also mad about that KC, basketball tournament conversation too. We'll talk about that one another day. But as far as the football program goes, major kudos and stuff. And a lot of us are eating crow, so kudos on you guys.
Okay, so I sent Jason a thing, and he just typed a thing saying no, he's not going to join us. So okay, Jason, I wasn't teasing you, by the way. I really wanted to have you give us some feedback on what you thought happened to your team, but that's okay.
He's like, no.
You've got the link if you want to take it. That's fine. Georgia, Florida. I believe I took Georgia, so I got that one right. Yeah,
I took Florida in that game.
I had you guys all down as Florida.
No, I took Georgia. I said I would. Florida's been overrated. I've been saying it for weeks. I took Georgia.
Sure.
I'm positive. We can play it back if you'd like to.
Well, then your numbers changed a little bit.
Yeah, I took Georgia because me and Ute had a discussion about it, about how Florida was up and down, and I said they were overrated and they weren't going to be anything. I distinctly remember that.
Immaculate, I might have taken Georgia in that game too.
This is where it's now I'm just like, oh.
All right, we're going to move on.
Anyway, Daniel Gygax says he had Florida. I'm sorry for you, Daniel. That's not good.
Because I thought that you guys took Florida because of the. Oh wait,
no, I didn't.
If you're taking Georgia, if you're saying you took Georgia, what was the final score on that?
It was a lot.
Oh wait, never mind. That's not the one. There's two 14.5 spreads, and we lost OSU because they only won by 14.
Yeah, we lost Ohio State, but I know for a fact I took Georgia.
Jason,
Ohio State.
I would not lie to you at all. I would never lie. I don't care about this thing at all. Hey, Jason. So how was your weekend? You're not on Suicide Watch. That's good.
I'm not on Suicide Watch, but I'm not happy.
Yeah.
So
it didn't make me happy at all. No, it did not. And to hear that you freaking picked against OU really makes me unhappy, Bob.
I didn't. I took OU.
No, you didn't. You took KU.
Oh, I
you were the only one that got it.
Sorry, I was thinking of Oregon State or Ohio Oklahoma State. Sorry, you're right. I did.
Very unhappy, Bomber. Very unhappy.
Look, the 9.5 points was a lot.
At least the Wild Ute has a little, hey, he sticks by the side of the right dudes. I feel it.
Look.
Hey, Jason, we're going to talk about Bedlam.
The 9 points was too much, Jason.
Too
many points.
We're going to beat the brakes off of Okie Light.
Jason, we talked before the season, and I was telling you that Oklahoma State was going to clip you guys in this game because of the passion. Remember when the Pokes had like that really horrible preseason prediction record and everything, and you're like, no way. I think that you're going to get clipped this week. It's going to be a tough game, man. The passion
You want to really bet?
No, I'm not going to bet you anymore in any games. I don't think the poke
have
fans
they
would
not
want that
lost?
either.
Hey, have they not lost to Kansas in such freaking
19 years.
Oh, it's been longer than that.
Well, it said
1997 was the last time.
Oh, I thought it was 19 years. It was longer now?
97, 98, I think. Something like that.
So that's 25 years. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Not good.
Yeah.
But had they not lost that game,
They were
I
on
would
the
say
road.
that I don't care.
You would say
Mike
what?
Gundy never had they not lost that game, then maybe they had a chance this weekend.
Mhm.
They're not gonna lose to Oklahoma State. Not with it being the last time they play them. No way.
Where is it at?
I don't care where it's at, but it's in Stillwater.
So it's in
Boone-
Oklahoma State
it's at
then.
Boone Pickens
Yeah.
Stadium.
Is it a night game?
It's
No,
just a 1:30
2:30.
kickoff.
Oh,
2:30.
see, if it was night game, it would be hands down Oklahoma State, but the day game, that'll be a good game.
I just
not.
the
It's gonna
amount of venom that you guys are going to see there is it's just like unlike anything
you-
you've.
They're
ever
not used.
ran
They're
into.
used to that. They're used to. Hey, guess what? 3-15 is Mike Gundy against Oklahoma. He's not due to beat them. If they were going to continue the series, he wouldn't be due to beat them for another 7 years.
Right.
So,
Oklahoma's
They're-
going to go into that game pissed.
pissed.
Pissed. Like
Mm,
Oklahoma State people were congratulating Kansas this week, but next week they might be like,
Yeah, and Gundy hasn't
Kansas.
shut his mouth about the freaking
Yeah.
Bedlam game being OU's fault for it not going.
yeah.
OU's gonna roll.
I'm interested to see that Oklahoma State running game versus that Oklahoma.
Becky's got it
defense.
right, huh?
I think that's where it's Oklahoma State running game versus Oklahoma defense and how that goes.
Ollie Gordon is a bad dude, but that's
Dude.
about all they got. And
But that's how they
they're
get
gonna
by.
turn
And
it
if he does what he does, and they got a good backup to him too. If they can
Yeah, but
run the ball,
the Oklahoma
then,
run defense is good. That's what's good about them.
that's
Well,
what's going to be the game.
Jason, I mean, Bean was a beast though on Saturday.
Bean was great. Bean was great.
At running.
They still.
I don't think the
You really
Pokes
want
have
me-
anybody that quick though.
I don't
right?
want. I don't like want to badmouth. I'm not. Hey, Kansas did their thing. Oklahoma didn't, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, nobody's dancing on your graves or anything. I just want to make
No,
sure.
I think that really what it is. No, I'm pissy about it. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
I'm just mad about it. It's
Yeah.
the way that they played and the way that Jeff Levy called the game it's not good. It wasn't good. They were doing fine running up the middle,
Right.
and they decided to do stupid stuff like putting receivers in the backfield and running them and doing that stupid jet sweep with a receiver that never works.
Mid third quarter, because of the delay, mid-third quarter, they cut the TV feed. Fox
they went
switched,
to
and
FS1.
so I couldn't
which was crazy.
I couldn't find it. I was looking on my Xfinity and I couldn't find the game. I was trying to watch the end of the game. So that was pretty frustrating.
Right. Mike, you wish that was true, brother. Mike Smith wishes that was true.
Well,
I just know that me and Cody are going to have fun with it this week. We'll be doing some shows. Y'all should definitely check those out because we'll have fun with each other on it. But
absolutely.
I definitely believe that OU is, and especially after losing, they're pissed. So they should definitely.
All right, very fair. What did you think about? Let's see. We talked about Georgia. You weren't with us on Friday, right?
No.
Yeah.
I actually was on another show. I was with the.
Oh, I remember that show. I saw the link for it.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
actually really cool, man. I was on. Dang it.
Was it Highland?
No,
I
it's
can't remember. I did
no
see
the
link
Blitz City
for it.
podcast. The Blitz City podcast.
Blitz City.
Those guys are cool, man. It was a great show. We had fun. But
Would-
but I forgot
would
that.
you-
Go ahead.
You could have sent me your picks. I should have sent you the list, and you could have done picks. That's my bad. I could have easily done that and didn't do it. So, the Ohio State Wisconsin game. Did you get a chance to watch that? The Ohio State Wisconsin game.
I did watch parts of it. Yeah, we were watching it. That was a game, man. It was a
It
game.
was.
It was
a
a
lot
game for longer
closer.
than I expected it to be. Yeah.
Right, it was closer than I was anticipating. Immaculate. What did you think about that game?
Wisconsin played probably better ball than they've played all year, but it still wasn't good enough. And Ohio State at times kind of seems like they were coasting a little bit. Like they weren't quite taking it as seriously as they should, and that they still, they got the win, and they've got the best player in all of college football, who, they just throw him the ball, we'll be fine. And so I do still think that they are the most talented team in the Big Ten. But right now, the best team that we've seen so far is Michigan.
Yeah.
But I think
But they haven't played anybody yet.
Michigan is that way because they've been on crutches.
Yeah.
They haven't played anyone, and they've been using signals. So
yeah, cheating helps winning.
Cheaters.
Yeah, so I think Ohio State will win that game later. But to watch this and go, God, where's that killer instinct? Like, you shouldn't just be wanting to win by 14. Like, I don't care. Like, you're not supposed to think about the spread. That's not a big deal.
Right.
But you should want to win by more than 14. And
well, if you think these kids don't look at lines, you're crazy.
I'm not saying that maybe they did, and then you definitely should.
Especially if they're in Iowa.
Yeah,
I know.
That's for certain. Yeah,
sorry, Mac, I couldn't help myself.
No, it's all good.
So right now, what that brings up a good point, though. You bring up Marvin Harrison. Is it him or Penix right now?
As far as the Heisman,
a couple weeks
it's
ago,
got to be Bo Nix. Bo Nix has got to be number one Heisman.
I think Bo Nix is sneaking up there.
I don't think he's out of it. I think that he played a good enough game in Washington, and if they go through and they win the Pac-12, I think he could definitely win it.
Okay.
Is the championship game part of the Heisman though?
Yes. They do it after. Yeah.
Okay.
After that,
I couldn't remember because they need
Yeah.
that win for him to get it. He needs to make up for that.
The thing
loss.
is, a lot of those guys have already sent in their votes, but they don't have to yet.
Right. Okay. Oregon, Utah. What do you want to say about that, Ute?
So it was a debacle. It wasn't close from start to finish. It was a blowout. It was miserable to watch in person.
I bet.
Left the game early. I went in about a 3-hour stupor after the game. But I've gotten more level-headed now, and I can recognize Oregon for the team that they are, which is an extremely good football team.
They're very good.
Penix is a stud. Utah was distracted. Utah's not as good as Oregon. I mean, Oregon's a superior team. Kudos to the Ducks. It was just a flat-out butt kicking, and I just wish that we'd get some other shot at them, just keep it a little closer and stuff. But I just don't think that's going to happen this season. So that's the last time we'll play the Ducks for the foreseeable future. I hate that we go out that way, but that's how it shook out.
There is a silver lining.
Go ahead.
What's that?
I've been telling you haven't liked it, but I've thought that Cam Rising, they might let him go. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think it's been proven that quarterback is not.
You're talking about Barnes?
Yeah, he's impressive what he's done, but he is not going to get them at that level. He doesn't. I mean, you don't lose by that much if you have the potential to do it. He doesn't.
And this
against
is like
defense.
one of their better teams, right? I mean, as far as what Coach Witt's been saying, this is like top to bottom one of the best teams he's ever had.
He said this is to quote him, this is the best team he's ever coached.
Yeah,
so if he wants it, he needs Cam
half
to
the
come
team
back
is out on injury, including Rising and Keithy, the two best players.
He said that at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, with Cam, expecting to return.
Exactly.
But
yeah,
Cam's
this is
a big risk
now.
I think next year is a big risk if they keep
Cam is
around.
a very big risk, but if you want the big reward, you might have to take that big risk, and maybe it goes badly again next year. But
I don't think so.
It's better than a situation like this when you get into that game that you need that win and you just.
Do they have somebody coming in that as like a freshman or something that you can rely on?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they do.
Zach Wilson's brother, Isaac Wilson.
Oh, really?
4-star
The internet
recruit.
did not want to hear from Wild Ute.
He is lighting up Utah football. He is putting up mad touchdowns, and he's a guy that BYU didn't recruit real hard. They had some other guys they were looking at, but Isaac Wilson, Zach Wilson's brother, and some people have said that have seen him play because Zach was playing high school 5 years ago, so they can remember back when he was playing. They say he's better. So he's going to be a true freshman next year. So they do have somebody coming in. It would be nice if Cam Rising stuck around a year and then gave him some leadership, taught him how to be a college quarterback, but I just don't know. I just don't know what Cam's going to do.
Is he going to be ready though? Right. I mean, right away to start?
Well, that's just it. He'd be a true freshman, right? I mean, that would be the concern. Philip says his computer shut down. Who wants to start a true freshman? I mean, we've seen how that works.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work out well usually
Not
unless it's
you need to give him at least a year to kind of be behind and see what a guy like Cam Rising does day in and day out to know what you got to do at the college level.
But is Utah going to raise another, $2+ million to have him be one bad hit to his knees out again?
I mean, it's your first year in a new conference.
Why wouldn't you? You got a chance to go and win the conference right away, get into the playoff because it's a 12-team playoff. He's a baller. And if he gets hurt, then you got the
Then you got your backup.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is
I think that's okay.
Oklahoma's in with Dylan Gabriel, and Dylan's played great this season.
Right.
But if he was to get last year, whenever he got hurt, they didn't have anybody. But this year, if he were to go down, you got Jackson Arnold, who won the Elite 11, who a lot of people in Norman think should be starting already. I'm not one of those people, but I do think that he's going to be unbelievably good, And if he had to go in, I wouldn't be as worried.
I think the dream scenario is Cam and Keithy both come back. They both get NIL deals that give them about $2 million apiece to come back and play football. They're at Utah and they lead the first season of Utah in the Big 12. I mean, they would be favored if they both came back. I'll tell you that right now. But I just don't know. Cam might go to USC. He might go, someplace that is. He loves Utah, but I could see him going anywhere.
He's not going to USC. He hates Lincoln Riley. He hates Lincoln Riley.
You go where the money and he's 25. He's going to be 26 next year.
He can't.
Who's going to draft? Who's going to draft him?
Story.
No, I'm not talking about that though. That was just an example. USC's one school. There's 130 schools.
Okay, yeah, but you said USC. I was like,
because USC is like they're an old school great team. I could have said Seattle. I could have said UW. I could have said Texas. I just picked USC.
That I could see. I could not Texas, but I could see other places.
Yeah, and that's what I think is going to happen. He's going to have offers.
I could see that.
Yeah. Anyways, we can get off that, but next season is going to be for Utah a lot of decisions. Isaac coming in.
Mac Howard. Who's this Mac Howard kid? Is he that? Is he the guy that the freshman this year?
I don't know Mac Howard. You would have to talk about him. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who that is. Let's see. Jim Choi. He's not LDS, so no, he didn't go on a mission. Yeah, that's kind of.
He was supposed to be at Oklahoma and Lincoln.
Yeah, he was
dirty.
He was a national recruit for sure.
He was a baller, man. The kid's a freaking. What Witt said about him being a freaking alpha male is not wrong.
No, and he's got charisma. People like to be around him and take pictures with him and say he's a great guy as far as that goes.
He's a leader.
You think that they wouldn't that the people around there wouldn't give him the money to stay?
Oh, they will.
Well,
I think they will.
I think that's the
first year, new conference. After the way this disappointment is, it's going to be pretty clear to them.
I don't know. Maybe
I was saying he's gone.
Tell me why. Tell me why you say this.
Because there's two things. One thing, money talks, BS walks. And if somebody comes along and offers, look, he's 25, going to be 26 when the NFL draft comes around in 25. He'll be 26 years old. How many quarterbacks have been drafted at 26 or later that have a major history of injuries? Not many, right? A handful, maybe, that were successful. So Jake Delhomme was older. I'm trying to think of the Winky, right? Was 27, I think.
Yeah, Chris Winky. He didn't last very long.
He didn't last very long. So he's injury prone.
Brandon,
and he made a ton of money. He made a ton of money in NIL this year and didn't play it down. And if you're an NIL contributor, you're a big money contributor, and you say, okay, I could put all my money into, say, let's double down and give it to Isaac Wilson, make sure he doesn't transfer after a year. You're going to give him, he's got a bigger upside than having 1 year, one and done with who could be an injured quarterback. And
the thing about it is when you only have 1 year at another school to do that is, I don't know that I would do that if I'm him, because if you look at like Spencer Sanders for that matter, he goes over there, he's got 1 year to play at Ole Miss and he's third string.
Yeah, but if he gets $3 million, who cares?
Do all that stuff.
But if he gets $3 million, he might not ever get drafted.
Is he really
Why
about
would
the
another school's NIL spend big money on Cam? He doesn't have anything built up with your fan base. You don't know if he's going to make it. Like, the only school that, to me, that makes sense on taking that risk with Cam because of his health is Utah. I don't understand. I don't know how another big school.
All I'm saying is I'm only proposing it. I'm not saying.
No, I understand. I'm just saying.
don't yell at me. I'm not.
I don't mean to yell. I've seen him. Till just this last game, I've said Cam's not even going to be back at Utah because they're not going to want him back because of his risk.
And I think that's also a concern.
But Barnes showed that he's not the guy. And so all they've
Nate
got
Johnson's not the guy. They've got several that aren't the guys.
They need Cam. I mean, he's kind of worth the risk for them because he knows the offense. He knows everything about it. He can just do it. But if you're going to be on another team, you're going to bring him in. One, he's got to learn the whole thing all over. He's got a huge risk for injury. And it's just kind of like your crowd fan base isn't really connected to him. So the advertising stuff that comes along with NIL and spending that money, it's not as good. Whereas at Utah, his face alone can sell the shit out of something. So
it seems like it would be definitely worth it to bring him back. But
you could be right, though. I mean,
I get what
maybe
you're saying.
someone else
I get what you're saying, but I don't see how you
Yeah.
wouldn't do it if you're Utah.
If I'm a Utah booster and I have the money, I pay to keep him.
Absolutely,
totally.
Right. But that's me. That's me, and I don't have the money. So it would be somebody out there that would have to be in a different position in life to say they're willing to, give hundreds and thousands and maybe millions of dollars to keep a kid around who's now a man.
These days, though, like to come, I don't even know that that's really happening that much anymore.
What?
The millions going to these guys.
Oh, I think it might not be talked about as much.
There's
but
been
I still
reports
think
that it's
money's out
slowing.
there.
It's drying up.
No, it's been dropping a lot because people aren't getting the return on their freaking investment.
That's true. That is something that has become a problem, and they didn't put in performance commitments for any of these NIL deals beforehand. If you are somebody given money and you had a chance to put in a rider that says you get 10% of this if you don't end up playing it down this year, that gives you extra motivation to get out and play. It also makes you consider, do I even want to come back? Or do I want to just take a chance, take the year off and go get drafted in the NFL and just play next year? I'm just saying these kids have so many options. There are so many options.
They definitely have options. And he has options. I just feel like I feel like his best option would be right where he is, because if you got to go and try to learn a new offense and then go get drafted, I mean, you're going to perform best right there where you are.
I think his best opportunity is to stay at Utah.
I do too. I think he's going to perform the best if he's still, because if you need to show something to get in, to go somewhere in the draft, to go, because it's still going to be a risk. But in order for you to show out and do something good to get drafted, my guess is that it has to be there. That's it. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why you would go anywhere else if you're him. I don't.
And with those health issues, that their medical staff knows your situation. They know the ins and outs of it. If you go to another school, they're learning all over again. I would be worried about that. I would be the guys who's been treating me and been working on it. That's who I'd want to continue working on it, because that's a big risk.
The guy who did his surgeries in California. He's not in Utah.
Yeah, I know, but the day-to-day, the management of it.
I'm not sure how much he shared with the football. There was a big conspiracy about who even knew. Nobody. I said at the beginning of the year, I told you he was not going to play. I saw that injury. I was watching the Rose Bowl. His leg almost turned all the way around.
Oh yeah, it was pretty bad. It was
and there's I told him in August, or actually it was May maybe. I said, I don't think you're going to see Keithy he's coming back. Cam Rising, he's the toughest nails, and all these things people say about him.
Well, he's definitely tough, but that didn't.
I never thought he was going to come back and play this year.
Yeah, it was brutal.
And that wasn't the story the school was telling people. So does he really talk to the school? Do they really know? I can't answer that.
But think about that for a second. Now, Witt is like, he doesn't tell anybody shit ever.
No, he doesn't. That's
what it is. I don't know that they didn't tell him anything.
Witt might have known, but is he gonna let the underlings also know? Because that was top secret.
He's not let anybody know. He's gonna.
I don't think they did. All I'm saying is Immaculate said he thinks the staff knew and all these other. I don't think that's.
It's not about knowing. It's about there's people tending to him.
Yeah, he's in California.
He's been
Dr.
on
Andrews. What would it serve for Coach Whittingham to like tell people that he wasn't coming back at all? It's better for him to not and make them happy.
I don't think he should. I don't think he would. I'm agreeing with you. I don't think he does tell anybody.
Yeah, I just think
which means I think the rest of the Utah organization didn't know.
Right. Oh,
that's just my opinion.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Anyway, I guess Utah's not coming back. Let's move to BYU Utah. Everything he said about Utah Oregon, I say the same thing, except BYU was on the road, and after the game, Texas fans were very impressed with the whole shebang, all the fans. So BYU, you have a lot of things to hang your hat on. It was a beatdown for sure, but a lot of a kickoff return for a punt return for a touchdown. Some really horrible offensive play calls. We're not going to get into that tonight. But if you're watching this tape, or you're watching it live, just know that I'm with the rest of BYU Nation that's concerned about Aaron Roderick's play calling. I just don't understand it. There has to be a reason why he throws these flares to the left and right instead of going north-south.
Is it possible that BYU was as distracted as Utah was for the same reason? Because I know immediately when that stuff happened, it was all over the internet.
You mean with Texas?
They were distracted from Texas by the situations going on in Utah.
Oh, I don't think that's true with the football team.
Why not?
Because they're that part of it is completely sectioned off. I can't commit and say none of the players was watching the news.
Wait, what are we talking about?
Yeah, he's proposing that maybe BYU the team was distracted by everything that was going on in Salt Lake.
Like what?
Like early before the game, everything that was going on with the show with
it was
Pat, and the crowd was more about Utah about BYU, and there was even Cam
the game day stuff,
talking
all
about him. And the
game day stuff
even before that, and because it was even the day before.
It was Friday. That was
it wasn't even the day of the game, so there would have been time for these guys to hear and see about this. And some of the things that were said, I could see it might have pissed them off. And
anything's possible, Immaculate.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's true because I don't know. I'm just saying that game, I expected a lot more out of BYU than that. Like maybe not to win, but with that spread, we were talking.
We all took BYU.
Yeah, we thought they were going to be in the spread, and that was. Yeah. It just was like they weren't even there.
Yeah, there
Texas
was some
good,
things
but
that was
not
weird.
that good.
I don't know. I mean, I thought Oklahoma
was pretty good.
I think they're pretty good too.
Yeah, I think they were really good the other day. I mean, they shut BYU down to freaking 2 field goals. They didn't let them in the end zone once.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have
Texas
to see.
Was playing good, and BYU didn't. I mean, from what I saw, and I kind of stopped watching. I was like, I can't watch this.
Yeah, well, I kept watching. It was.
I know you're as a fan, but I mean, as someone who's got a lot of choices, I'm going.
Yeah. All I wanted to get out is that as impressed as people have been as BYU's gone through this trip for the Big 12, it's been nothing but positive. You haven't heard one person say a negative statement about the way that the BYU fans or the organization has run anything. And so,
we
knew this year was going to be tough.
BYU though, he's not going to allow anything ugly to be said about.
Which is why that last touchdown, he wasn't trying to score a touchdown. BYU's defense gave up. He was just trying to run the clock out.
Right.
He was running dives, guys. But his players were out there playing. I don't hold it against Sark that his players went out and scored.
Yeah, I didn't think he was trying to rub that.
He was not.
And listen, I'm not a Sark dude. You know this, but but I don't think that's what he was doing.
Yeah, I think Sarkisian was very nice and appropriate, and I think he treated me.
And he loves Kalani. They're like best friends. They talk all the time.
Yeah, Kalani actually hosted Sarkisian on his trip.
Yeah.
to come to BYU. So they didn't play together because Kalani went on his mission, but yeah, they knew each other. And anyway, so anyways, BYU
I
fans,
didn't feel like that was a thing at all. I don't think that he was trying to rub that in.
Well,
I think
now
they probably needed to rub it in a little bit, but
let me ask you this, Jason, as you look forward, and November is going to be probably your toughest month as you look to this Saturday. That game in Provo at night, if they do that in a night game, what are your second thoughts? Like this week we have we have West Virginia at night, which is crazy because BYU wins night games. So that's an interesting. And then the next week we play Iowa State at home at night. So I think the Big 12's figuring this out, that people watch these night games in Provo.
Yeah. Well, I think, but that all depends on the network, though, on whether it's a night game or not, right?
I'm not sure how they pick.
It's a network thing.
Honestly, no. Yeah.
But I mean, right now, after what we saw, it's a to me, I feel like Venables needs to get a hold of what's going on the offensive side of the ball.
I agree.
There needs to be some real hard discussions this week about, hey, we need to, because here's the way I feel about it. When you have the guys, you don't need to do trickery and crap like that. And they have the guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. And now the offense, and the other part is that you've had issues on the offensive line because of health and some other stuff. And so when you're moving people around and then you've got them doing pulling guards and doing a bunch of crap like that, that's like, that they can make mistakes on, you're going to have mistakes, And I'm not saying the defense was great, because it wasn't. There were some things that they weren't great on, and particularly sealing up those edges and stuff like that. But in the end, they still should have won the game, and they gave them an opportunity to win the game when you got that last interception, and then they can't go get a first down. It just doesn't make sense, and you've seen some uneven play calling, and that's where I'm kind of at. Is that you want to see some better play calling, but in the end, I feel like you will, and because I think that it's pretty clear to Jeff Lebby. I'm sure it's pretty clear to Jeff Lebby that he's not going to be around a whole lot longer if they're going to continue having these issues. You know what I mean? In the end, am I worried about BYU? Of course. They haven't beaten them ever. They got to go to Provo, and if it were a night game, yeah, it's bad. That's bad for them. I would be less worried about it if they were undefeated when they got there, but now that's not going to happen.
Right.
So it's, to me, right now, what I don't want to talk CFP. I don't care about the CFP right now. I don't think that I've been saying for a long time I thought they needed to go undefeated to get there. So and now it would take them winning out, and I mean, I think there's so much more to happen before you even think about that again. And I'm not willing to just sit here and say that I believe that they're going to do that. I don't know that, I do know they're going to beat crap out of Oklahoma State this weekend.
I love the confidence. That's
but
fantastic.
as far as the rest of the year, look, even the TCU game, it's at home, but I don't know. TCU's pretty bad right now.
They're schizophrenic, man. They play really good, and then they play really bad.
Crap out of BYU, and then they turn around and lost the same way.
I know. I don't
know. I'd like to see. Look, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, Texas. I think they've beaten KSU 6 years in a row, but I don't know that I want K-State to win that, Cleveland, because I think that Oklahoma needs to probably beat Texas twice to get yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think that they'd have to beat Texas twice. I don't know. I don't know. I just think that, yes, I'm concerned about BYU because it's a road game and it's a tough place to play. And I think that while I think that they should win no matter what.
Oh, for sure.
I think that their talent level is good, but I think they should win, but I don't know that they would. It's just, tough place to go play. Yeah, 70-62. Yeah, you know better. You know better. You guys are 3-15 under gun. Do you really trust in that? Nah.
Mike Smith says, asked me if I'm going into Morgantown. I'm not. I just don't have the funds to go this year. I would love to be there, but I can't afford the flight. I probably could have done the rental car, but yeah, I can't. I just don't have the funds to go to that game. I appreciate the ask, though.
Tough one.
A lot of people have offered me tickets. I'll tell you that. A lot of West Virginia fans been very, very, you know. Are you coming to Provo, by the way? You never told me if you're coming.
I hope I am, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to, man. I'm trying to. I'm still
okay. Well, obviously,
no needs to worry about Ollie Gordon, not Texas. I'm not worried about. We already beat them.
Tennessee, Kentucky. How did everybody do there? Immaculate.
Both you and Phil took Kentucky.
And did we win or lose?
Oh no, Tennessee. It was at that Tennessee won that one.
Did they? Well. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Colorado, UCLA. Any comments about that one? Except for all the jewelry getting stolen from the players.
What the heck, man? That was so stupid.
Welcome to LA.
Yeah, their locker room was totally raided.
That is so. They don't have security there.
I know, it's a joke.
I mean, security was probably paid off.
It's a joke.
That is so not okay.
You're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars in jewelry were stolen.
Look, there are very high. I don't want to call them high tech, but highly experienced thieving groups out there now.
Right.
Been doing this. So
the gangbangers, you mean?
There's some of them are that, but some of them are just crews that go around and steal stuff and then they sell black market. And it's not. I mean, security guys, they don't get paid that much. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard for these guys to.
Well, we'll find out. I mean, we're talking high felonies.
LA is a different place now, man.
With the money that they got, with the money that some of those guys got, they took their stuff.
There's a lot of jewelry.
Yeah.
Did Colorado cover?
Yeah,
they did.
By picking Colorado, you win. UCLA won, but they didn't cover. So.
And then Duke, Louisville. How'd we do?
You picked Louisville. I picked Duke. Phil picked Duke. Moen got Louisville, so we split that.
Did Louisville win or lose? Did it? Okay.
Oh, Louisville smoked them. Duke didn't score a point. That was something, man. I'm telling you, I saw that. And I was like, I can't believe this is going on. What? That's why after that game, I started saying Jeff Brom possibly for Coach of the Year.
I think Louisville's better than people have been giving them credit.
Yeah, they were mid-tier last year, and Purdue was in the Big Ten championship. This year, Purdue is the worst team in the Big Ten, and Louisville is going into the ACC championship. I mean, come on. This guy's a good coach.
I totally agree.
Jet, really good coach, man. He is.
Sorry, Jason, go ahead.
No, I was saying he's a great coach, Braun. I like him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
that guy, man. I don't know. I mean, people can make arguments for the guys, but right now he's number one on my list.
He was a great player. He was a great quarterback.
Well, he killed it. I mean, he was killing it at Purdue for what you can get done at Purdue. He was doing a great job.
Right.
That team's not a lot different this year than what it was last year. Like, they had guys coming back. They thought they were supposed to be pretty good. People thought they had a good quarterback. And they got nothing. So,
well, I'm kind of cheering for Louisville going forward in the ACC championship game against Florida State. That could be interesting. Clemson is overrated. I think everybody's figured that out. And I think they can give Florida State a good game. The ACC right now is getting destroyed in the peer-to-peer rankings, though. ACC and the Pac-12 are both really getting beat up. Oregon obviously is leading that charge for the Pac, and Washington's undefeated, and yet in some polls has dropped below Oregon, which is crazy to me. So we'll have to see. I don't know. College football playoff rankings come out tomorrow. I'm encouraging everybody to pay attention to those. We have a show on Wednesday. Becky Go Husky says, want to point out the Coliseum is in the hood near the area where they filmed those hood movies in the 90s. we talking Boys in the Hood. But the Rose Bowl is in Pasadena.
It has the hood side to it, though, as well.
Rich areas get hit by these thieving groups just as much. Like the
Rose Bowl. I've been to the Rose Bowl. I went to the Rose Bowl when OU was in it last.
Oh,
sketchy.
Nice.
It was sketchy getting to it.
I've driven by it, never stopped. I've seen it from the freeway. All right, let's get off of this. I think, guys, this has been a great show. It's gone a little bit long. We got a little bit long in the tooth there, talking about Cam and Utah and some of the things. But Jason, we really appreciate you being here.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
You bet. If you want to talk Bedlam, give me a call, okay, this week.
Yeah. You guys going on tomorrow night?
No, we're not going to do it because of Halloween. That's why we went tonight.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, so we got no show tomorrow.
Okay.
Backdrop looks really good too, by the way, man.
Oh yeah, your studio is fantastic, by the way,
Thanks,
Jason.
man. I appreciate that.
Saw the picture before, but from your cam and everything, the setting, it looks really good.
Yeah, it's excellent.
I just can't seem to get my logo to go up on the TV thing. That's why I'm.
Oh, is that what that is? I was like, TV's dead, but other than that, no.
Yeah, no, I can't get I've got the it's a logo that it's on a video though, so it moves around and stuff. And for whatever reason, it's not casting to it the way it should be. Yeah.
I don't know. StreamYard it has some glitchy things, I think.
It's not StreamYard though. It's just the regular computer stuff. I'm just trying to get it to cast like a regular video.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
My suggestion, since he's not here, I'll say this: poke Moen.
Yeah, Moen knows what's up with
Moen
like
knows
that.
his stuff.
Yeah, he's.
I watched his show today. Yeah.
Moen's he loves Thanksgiving. His shows are all around not Thanksgiving, Halloween. Halloween. His channel is most popular time is Halloween, so that's why he's not here with us tonight. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for being here. This got a little bit wandering there at the end. I appreciate everybody being here, and I do need to read off Jet, who again, Jet is the OSU guy. I got this shirt, I got this hat from. He gave me a baseball. If you guys want to send me stuff and want your school represented, send me a DM and Twitter. I'll give you my address. You can ship it, and I will promote it.
Don't do it yet. Hold on, real quick.
Okay. Jet had 8 picks. He picked Oklahoma, Georgia, Ohio State, Utah, Texas, Tennessee, UCLA, and Louisville. So he lost Oklahoma, won Georgia.
He's got your rally towel up there.
Does he? Yes, there we go. Jason's got my towel up. That's fantastic.
I had the towel up there, man. Yeah,
I appreciate that so much. Yeah. That is awesome.
Man. I appreciate you sending it to me. I'd forgotten about it. And it was sitting up front here at the office, and
is that going to come down for the BYU game, though?
Well, I might do something to it. For
don't wreck it. They're kind of expensive, so don't wreck it.
We'll wreck it, man. I'm just
no, I appreciate you putting it up, Jason. That warms my heart. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, man.
All right. Everybody else, thanks for being here. Please subscribe if you're new to the channel. Leave us a note, give us a thumbs up. Make sure you turn on your notifications for Twitter and for YouTube. And otherwise, we will see you Wednesday night. We are going to break down that John Canzano article in Washington State and Oregon State and the P2, which is the Pac-2. See where that goes. So join us on Wednesday. Everybody else, have a great night. Stay out of trouble. And Immaculate, thanks so much for being here.
As always.
Appreciate it, guys.
See you later. Peace out.
Later.